Well, hello, Kirsten here from WG Content, and this is our very, very first episode of our new talk show, Unscripted. And we have our very first guest, Colin Hung, who I picked Colin for a very specific reason, and that is that he's always putting the microphone in all of us. And I thought it's time for us to turn the tables and put the microphone in front of him. So he's in the hot seat for our very first Unscripted episode. So, welcome to our first talk show, Unscripted.
Thank you very much, Kirsten.
Yeah,
Very honored to be here on this very first episode.
yeah, I'm excited to have you. So, Unscripted is really came out of the inspiration, or really from Tips in 10 Minutes, and I was sharing with Colin. What I enjoyed most about those was getting to know the different leaders that we were talking to, really kind of behind the scenes, and before we started, hitting record and talking about their advice and tips and best practices. So these are really designed to get to know you and get to know each guest. And we're going to still try to keep it to 10 minutes. So you'll have to hold me accountable to that one because I like to get to know and get to talk to people. So let's just go. I've got a list of questions in front of me. Colin doesn't know what I'm going to ask him, but they're all designed to get to know him a little bit better. So let's just start with, we're recording this on the Thursday before Memorial Day weekend. So tell me what you have planned. What are you doing this weekend?
Yeah, well, I mean, barbecue, of course,
Yeah.
just some family over. Now, in Canada, Memorial Day usually coincides with Victoria Day up here.
Okay.
So
Tell us
usually the
about
two are the
that.
same. This year we're a week apart, but yeah,
Okay.
basically it's barbecue, family,
Yeah.
no fireworks, but yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. Well, good. Good. Hopefully you'll have some good weather. Right now we're a little bit sketchy here in Cincinnati. Well, tell me a little bit about your family. I feel like I've met your son maybe at a conference. So talk to me about your childhood and where you grew up and a little bit about you and your family today.
Wow, we only have 10 minutes, so otherwise I would, dive right in.
Yeah.
But yes, no, some of you have some folks on the conference circuit have met my son. He was my
Yeah.
cameraman, right, and
Oh,
helping me out
I think he
and
had
things like
that
that.
microphone in front of me once.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, two kids, both sons, and one is still in university. My older son,
Okay.
he's graduated.
Hmm.
I grew up in Toronto. That's
Okay.
where I grew up, and it's a home city. So I grew up in and around the area. I'm one of three. I'm the oldest of three siblings, and who also still live here in the GTA. So we're all very
Hmm.
close. Yeah, and that's kind of like in terms of family.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did marry into a very large family. So I was
Oh,
a family of three. My
okay.
wife's family is quite large, so it's kind of
Yeah.
fun.
And that has its lovely, parts to it. It's like there's a side to that, right? That's lovely and a side that could be a lot of challenging too. Um,
Yes.
so when you think back like to your childhood and having two siblings and growing up where you are currently today, when you think back to kind of your teenage self, how would you describe yourself as a teenager? What do you admire, I guess, about your childhood and your teenage self?
Well, I'm going to age myself. So, yeah, I grew up in the 80s, right?
Love
So,
it. Yes.
I'm an 80s child. So, I was totally a geek before being a geek was, kind of accepted. So, I was the nerdy one. I was
Yeah.
the one in band, right? All that kind of stuff. So, typical nerd. So, growing up was fun. I know, I never got picked on or anything like that. So, knock on wood. But it was a lot of school and activities and things like
Hmm.
that. So my childhood was filled with a lot of activities. So I mean,
So
if I were
you're
to pick one thing, I mean, the one thing I think looking back that I would say about growing up is that my teenage self probably wasn't really caring about what other people thought because I never gave that a lot of thought. I was just, I just did my thing and that was
Mhm.
it.
Hmm.
So I think that's probably what I like most about those years, other than, of course, growing up with the start of MTV and all the music
We could
videos.
do a
And
whole talk show about that because don't you miss the 80s? My older kids too, they're in their 20s. Sometimes they're like, God, I wish I grew up in the 80s. They kind of have this nostalgic look at some of the, the things that we grew up with. So do
it's
you
definitely what,
carry, go
hmm.
ahead.
No, I was gonna say it definitely was an interesting time, right? The shoulder pads, the friendship beads, the jelly shoes, the like
Yeah.
all that stuff, like
Yeah.
and the music. I mean, that the era of Madonna and
Yeah.
Michael Jackson and
Yeah.
Duran Duran. I mean, how can you go wrong?
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure your siblings were like your best friends too, right? You kind of like were a little pack running around, latchkey kids and, kind of raising yourself and all the things that we had in the 80s, which were so neat, you know. Um, well, that's great. I love that. So what would you say are well, first of all, you talked about how when you were a teenager, you look back and you admire that you didn't have that sort of fear of missing out or what other people thought of you. Do you feel like you've carried that through to your adult life?
Uh, I think a little bit, but as I grew up, I think I became more aware of I'll call it societal norms, right? Like, hell,
Yeah.
like not everyone was into the same things that I was into, and there were lots of other things that people did. So I think as I grew older, I more appreciated that,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of got out of my bubble.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that has changed for me. So I'm
Yeah.
also more aware of the situations that I find myself in. Meaning, if someone's by themselves, I'll go over and try to,
Mm.
get them
You're very good at
engaged,
that. Yeah.
or if someone is not, you look at their body language, like they're kind of withdrawn a little bit, I try to bring them out a
Mm-hmm.
little bit. So I would never have thought to do that as a teenager.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I mean, I can see that in you and certainly have observed that over the years. And you said you had a lot of activities as a child. I think you probably people would describe you as very busy today with a lot of activities. How many conferences did you go to last year?
Yeah, last year I set a record, personal record. So I went to 50 conferences total. Now
Oh,
I'd have a
great.
caveat. I'd caveat that to say about 10 of them were here in Toronto. So
Okay.
I didn't have to travel for those. But yeah, I went to about 50 last year,
Yeah.
and I'd never gone to that many before.
I mean, that's remarkable. I mean, you were traveling so you don't have to tell me what your favorite one was there a like kind of a favorite theme that stood out or a favorite event that stood out or something that when you look back on 50 plus conferences that were like, oh, that was done really well.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to pick a favorite, but because I go to so many, just seeing the
Yeah.
ones that where I can see the most people, those are the best
Hmm.
ones.
Yeah.
So like the typical hymns and Vive and
Yeah.
health, right? The big ones.
Some of the big ones.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but also HMPS, HCIC,
Hmm.
SHUSHMED, those are great as well. And
Hmm.
then I really enjoy the user conferences
Mm.
because
Hmm.
they're much more intimate. The companies really take care of their users. They
Hmm.
kind of announce some pretty exciting stuff, and then you get to hear real reactions from real people using it. And they give
Hmm.
you mostly good, but
Hmm.
sometimes interesting things that they're challenged with. And
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a real nice opportunity to kind of connect with the
Mm.
providers out there. So I
Yeah.
enjoy those.
Well, good. Well, it sounds like you have a break in front of you this summer. So, and with your travel. So that sounds good. So let's talk about your first job. What was your first job since we've been talking about you as a kid? How old were you and what were you doing?
My very first job.
Yeah, your very
Um,
first job. Do you remember what your very first job
yeah,
was?
I do. So my very first job was um I was worked at a deli.
Okay.
So I was the one that was shaving the pastrami and the
Yeah.
roast beef and putting it on the sandwich and getting the
Yeah.
mustard and stuff. So I worked at a local deli here. It's well known, and yeah, that was my first job. I loved it actually.
Yeah.
It's such a great time. The people were amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, really enjoyed
It's
it.
character building, those jobs. Did they trust you to be on the slicer? Were you on that?
Yeah, not first. At first, I
Yeah.
started just doing the salads, the
Got to
coleslaw and
earn
stuff,
that
and then
that job.
yeah, but then eventually the guy who was running the meat slicer he left, and so I was kind of next up, and I
Okay.
love that. I just
Yeah.
because because the guy who owned the deli was an older gentleman, old school, right from the
Hmm.
old from Europe, and he would like whatever the customer wants, just give them extra, right? Because they'll keep
Okay.
coming back, and so
Yeah.
I would give extra. And so everyone got to know, hey, to come
Oh,
to this counter
yeah.
because, you got more meat than you would
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, we've learned that you're one of three siblings, grew up in Toronto, grew up in the 80s, worked in a deli. So all really fun things. Of course, your family, large family, you married into a large family, you have your two boys. So we're going to end with one final question and then some really fun rapid fire would you rathers. I'm sure you've played some would you rathers before, but we'll have some fun with that. Okay, so my last question is just really what's bringing you joy these days?
Oh, that's been the same thing forever. I mean, truly what brings me joy is just connecting with people
Yeah.
and having conversations, whether that's in person, on Zoom, even via email. I just I've grown to love the conversations that we have and just
Yeah.
learning what
Me
people are
too.
doing, the exciting things they're working on, what
Yeah.
makes them tick. So I really
Yeah.
enjoy that.
Well, good. Me too. I appreciate you taking time with us today. Okay, so these are going to stump you. I know I looked at them and they stumped me, but we're going to go, right? Would you rather live in a treehouse or a houseboat?
Treehouse.
All right. Would you rather be 5 minutes late always? So you're always 5 minutes late or always 20 minutes early?
Oh, I'm 5 minutes late person.
Okay, okay. Would you rather write your autobiography or direct your documentary? I feel like I know your answer to this one.
That's actually, I would rather direct my, uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I can see you doing that. Okay, would you rather only be able to speak in rhyme or only write in emojis?
Oh, wow. I would like to the rhyming one because I think that'd
Okay,
be a challenge.
yeah, the emoji thing. I don't get it. Sometimes I have to ask my kids, like, what does this mean? Okay, would you rather have unlimited ideas but no time or unlimited time but no ideas?
Oh, definitely the first. Unlimited
Yeah.
ideas and not enough time.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, you passed. All of
I
them are
passed.
passed. You passed the would you rather. You passed the whole test of our first unscripted. So we're already at our 10 minutes. We're probably over by a couple. So I really, really, really appreciate you stepping in and being our first guest and us test riding this together. So
I know, really appreciate it because this is a lot of fun. And
yeah,
yeah, looking forward to watching, listening to all the other guests that you're going to have on this new
yeah, we've
program.
got a couple scheduled already. So I'm excited to announce those too. So appreciate it. Have a really lovely weekend with your family, and we will see you next week at Neshka.
Thanks a lot.
See ya.